Christ.
Welcome to the 172nd episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by some dudes. I'm also joined in spirit by sponsors Summit Funding, Chehalis Outfitters, and The Roof Doctor. Chronicle editor Eric Schwartz is out on paternity leave, which is why there was no podcast last week. So this week, we've got a little bit of stale news for you, a little bit of fresh news, and a handful of guests. And we'll start with the first two guests. We've got a third guest showing up after the ad break. But our guest tonight, Hub City comedy founder, local photographer, and guy that's always got something going on, Gabe Botten, and Centralia City Councilman and local business owner, Cameron McGee. And they're going to explain to me what the Washington Association of Culture and Arts does, what comedy shows do, and why you should be in McFiler's on Friday, February 2nd?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Just so we get your voice and listeners know who's who, Gabe, do you want to say something?
Hey.
Yeah, everybody knows Gabe's voice, and that is it. And Cameron, how about a sound check for you?
Yeah, just thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Gabe and I have been arguing about him returning to the podcast for a while. I'm glad he finally gave in to my persistent begging.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I know you are. Let's talk about Adam Ray first. He is the comedian. He's coming, like I said, Friday, February 2nd to McFiler's Theater. He is currently in the Bahamas performing on the Impractical Jokers cruise, which I assure you is real. Tickets for the 4-night cruise start at $1,800, but you can cruise on down to McFiler's for the low price of $30 instead. Gabe, why is it a better deal to see him at McFiler's than on the Impractical Jokers cruise?
Well, I'm sure that the ship has set sail already, so...
Tough to catch him now.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to have Adam Ray. He was the very first headliner we ever booked back in 2014. And I've been trying for years and years to get him back. And when Cameron had mentioned that he's trying to, set up some fundraisers for the WACA, and wants to bring in some heavy hitter comedians, I was just like, oh, this is my chance to actually get Adam to reply to my messages.
Let's go through Adam Ray's. I went through his IMDb a little bit, but I'm going to throw some things out, and I want to hear what you guys have seen. Have you both seen Barbie? The Barbie picture?
I haven't seen Barbie yet.
So I've seen Barbie, but it was once I saw that he was in there, I was like, all right, I got to watch this. It's actually not that bad. It's pretty good, actually.
It's quite good.
I've heard good things.
It was nominated for 8 Oscars.
Those are good things.
That's pretty good.
Usually.
All right. He plays a policeman. He is also on the television program Young Rock as a youngish Vince McMahon.
Yeah, haven't seen that.
I've
seen
seen
pieces
it.
of that, but not all of it at all.
He was also on some HBO programs, Hacks, which is hilarious.
Yeah,
Curb Your
Hacks is
Enthusiasm, good show.
Yep.
Silicon Valley, also hilarious. And Ballers, which we were discussing off mic, and I think we're all in agreement that Ballers kind of rips.
Yeah.
Pretty good show. He was also on Two Broke Girls. You guys.
Nope.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Yeah, not bad. So yeah, Adam Ray is coming to town. Anything else you guys want to mention about Adam Ray? Have you guys hung out with him before? Gabe?
10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, just at that show at the Fox Theater.
Was he cool?
Yeah, he's a cool dude. It's a good time. It's probably still, after 10 years, one of the top 3 shows we ever had. I mean, the feature act and the host were both early in their careers, so they've blown up to just like nationwide headliners themselves. But to pack them all in on just like a crazy dream to be like, hey, we should do a comedy show here. And it all just fell into right into place. And, been doing it ever since. So
you've really been doing comedy since 2014?
Yeah. April 14th, I think, was at the Adam Ray show.
Never got on stage yourself?
No, dude, I'm terrified. I'm terrified right now. He's
going to get up and talk about WACA for me.
Yeah, right. I tried to bring Cameron in here. I was like, give me all the notes that I need to say. But I'm going to have to rehearse this for like days. So,
all right. You mentioned that. What the hell is the WACA?
So the Washington Association of Culture and Arts. It's a nonprofit that I was a part of founding. I'm the executive director for it.
Okay.
We got our nonprofit status and everything finalized through the state and federally late September, early October of last year. So we had a kickoff fundraiser at McFiler's, just to kind of introduce ourselves to the community there's like late October. And then we've just been, applying for grants and getting things up and running for the shows we're going to do. All of our fundraisers, for the most part, are going to be performances of some sort, whether it's dance or comedy or music, whatever that's going to look like. Our goal is to elevate the arts and the community, but doing that through our fundraisers like this, by bringing larger names than we've had in a long time into the community, making it a cultural stop or touring stop for, touring musicians, speakers, all of those things. But also it'll fund educators for us. So we're working with the local public school districts in Lewis County and South Thurston County, and we're going to put educators in that can work through multiple districts. So as we ramp up and kind of prime the engine and get it going to where we have the funds to take care of itself, we will be putting in we'll talk to the schools and look and see where their needs are based on those things, but we can get somebody that is educated specifically in those arts, whether it's drama or music or guitar or whatever that sometimes other teachers just teach because they have some time. We can put them in multiple districts in the same day so they can serve more people. So we can put a drama teacher in Centralia Middle School, High School, and Chehalis Middle School and High School all in one day and make that work feasibly.
Okay. Gabe, why do you think someone should support such frivolous dalliances as the arts? Just nothing. No support for the arts over there. Just wanted to make sure you're still paying attention, man.
I am still paying attention.
The arts are great. You're so mad at me right now. I can see it. You're madder than the last time we were on the podcast and Schwartz got mad at me, which was very awkward.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, yeah. Do you guys call it Waka for short? What do you? Waka.
Waka's easiest.
Waka sounds great.
Mm-hmm. And then Gabe's actually working with Hub Comedy for us. He's helping us with this fundraiser, taking a hit on what he would normally make off of a show of this scale to help put it on, using him to reach out to his knowledge of the industry and his decade of experience in doing this to hopefully help elevate him as well and his business and McFiler's. But also, he's going to do 2 more, I believe, for us, and he's helping us book a festival that we're doing in August at the college downtown. So,
what kind of comedy festival? Like music, everything?
Everything.
Cool.
Yeah, there'll be music, comedy, film. We're looking for street artists and some of those things right now as well, and just performers to be out and around.
If you need to book a live performance of a local podcast, let me know. We can probably set something up.
Would love it.
Only if we go through Gabe, though. He takes 10% off the top.
Fair enough.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get into 2 quick news topics before we jump into the rest of the news and segments. We're recording this early. Cameron has a city council meeting to attend. And that's kind of the topic of our first news item. News story from last week. Centralia City Council election winner sworn in as council does away with voting districts. New councilor Chris Brewer and reigning mayor Kelly Smith Johnson were both sworn in. Smith Johnson was again selected by her fellow councilors to serve as mayor, while Councilor Cameron McGee was again chosen as mayor pro tem. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Belated congratulations.
It's my 4th mayor I've served as pro tem under.
Wow. How long have you been on?
6 years.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't all track because one of them stopped being mayor before. It was when Sue steps down from the mayor position.
Yeah. Okay. So. And you guys also voted to eliminate voter districts. Max Vote, he's one of the longer serving councilors, correct?
The longest on there.
Yeah.
9 years, I think he's got.
During the meeting said running for a specific district is a better, lower barrier for those just getting into civil service, partially because you have to campaign in a smaller area. It's also cheaper to campaign over a smaller area. And with districts, the rich district can't crank out a bunch of well-funded candidates and rule over the poor. And what a facade we would be living in if the rich could fund their own candidates to serve their own interests under the mere guise of democracy. You guys already have a few at-large positions, correct?
We have 3.
3, and it's a 4-person or 4 district.
Yeah, it's a 4 district. So we have 4 districted and then 3. I would say it's broken up into quadrants, but they're based on population. So if you look at the district maps, they're a little squiggly. They're all over the place. So
okay. And you were one of the 6 councilors in favor of doing away with districts.
I actually brought this up.
Okay, give me your elevator pitch because I have thoughts and I will mention them
Love
shortly.
To hear them. So I brought this up back in October of 2022 as I would like to explore it, but we put it into our strategic priorities. Okay. So it was something that last year they were doing research on, and they were exploring so they could bring it back to us to talk about what that would look like or whether or not it was feasible, whether it was legal, what we needed to do to change it, just across the board. It was something that I brought up initially, though, because having been on council for 5 years, or almost 5 years at that point, thinking about the fact that I never vote on district-specific things, and also looking at the number of candidates that we get in certain elections, like districts versus the at-large, how many of those are unopposed, where those are at, and the fact that because we never vote on district things, that myself as a citizen, like when I'm not on council, I don't plan on running again at the end of this term. But me as a citizen, I have 3 people on council that I had nothing to do with, that I didn't get to vote for. It didn't matter if they were the only person that ran. They're just on council, and I have no say over it. And the citywide decisions that are being made and where those futures are going to be, having 3 out of 7 councilors with no say in it was something that I personally think is problematic. So I wanted to explore what that looked like and where that would be, and then open up that for discussion.
If they were, would a candidate still run for a certain numbered position if districts are out of the question?
Yeah, there are different ways that you can do it. You can. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all of the ways in which we can change it into. I would. My proposition was to maintain the same voting, the same way we vote on it. So it's not just the top 7, just get the 7 seats.
Yeah.
It's still, they'd pick a position they'd run against. So you would still have, and you may still end up with unopposed. Like Peter Abarno ran unopposed a number of times, but that was more so, I think, because Peter's a political animal.
He looks like Pitbull.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm not saying that wouldn't happen. And I'm not saying that I have all of the answers to this, but having explored it and looked at the options and looked at what statewide, that it is actually just where code cities, it's their default position for code cities. You had to specifically go in, and that 80% of cities that are 6,500 and up in population, 84 out of 112 cities, so about 80% roughly, are still at large, or they're all at large. It just doesn't make sense to me in a small, and even like within the districts, like they're not neighborhoods. People think of districts and they think they're neighborhood. Max's district goes from Edison district all the way down to Mellon, like by Fiddlers. Like that's a part of it. And I believe it actually crosses over to Military on the other side of the river.
Okay.
And then like Councilor Wesley's district is all of Cooks Hill, that's not Max's, and all of Ford's Prairie and part of Harrison by Lum Road. And mine is Oakview area, Logan, Seminary Hill, and below Seminary Hill. So it's they're all disparate neighborhoods even within the districts.
Yeah, it's not split up into, there's not just an X in the middle of town.
Nope.
Okay.
Because it's based on population. So you have to fill those districts out with the same number of populace, roughly. I mean, not exactly, but roughly.
Yeah.
So
the concern I have about it is I like the idea of having a counselor for my specific district, as in it is a proud tax-paying Centralia man. If I've got a problem, I want someone specific to blame.
Right.
And, that's
when most people find their district counselor is when they have an issue. Yeah.
And I feel like my vote matters more if it's attached to one specific name. Do you feel like having 7 at-large counselors would maybe even like disenfranchise some people that that have an issue and want to go to the city council and don't know which counselor to go to?
I don't think so. I field questions. Like I'm a district counselor, and I think that in memory, the only time that somebody has brought up that I am their district counselor specifically when they've reached out to me has been with the golf course property. I had one person specifically mention that I was their counselor and I should be making those decisions for their district. And that's the only time in 6 years. And I field questions from people that are all over the city. Like they talk about their issues that they have, and I field them, I listen to them, and we talk about them and sort them out. Because even though I'm a district counselor, you can't separate the whole city from your district in this community. Like even just if my district, both of them will be affected. Like with the golf course, they were worried about flooding down below, which is my district, and they're building up on the hill, which is my district. So really at that point, me speaking for my district, I would have to look at not the rest of the city and be like, okay, traffic impact everywhere in the city, voting impact, because now we're adding 200 homes in an area that is in a district that now might weight that district differently in 10 years. As far as like populace goes, like there are a number, but it affects the whole city.
Okay.
So it's,
when's the pool going to reopen? I can practically see it out the
It's
window.
almost
here. I
open
just
now
drove
with the
by.
rain we've had.
I drove by and I hadn't noticed it had been like filled in with mud, and I was like, God damn, that kind of looks like fun.
We're talking to the park. We were talking about it tonight at council. The parks has already gone through Parks Board and has a proposal for us to address tonight about what that park will look like over there. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be great to get that space back and active again. And it'll be I believe it's going to land on the Veterans Pearl Street Park. And I'm going to push to have an actual monument put in there of some sort, depending on what we can do. So it's an actual memorial again.
All right, cool. Next news item, your guys' last news item. Gabe, you want to throw anything in there?
Adam Ray, February 2nd.
Hell yeah.
Chehalis Theater.
Plug God.
Got a great feature and host. It's going to be a killer show.
Yep. Come up and support Waka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next news item, Chehalis-born resident appointed new city councilor after being sole applicant. They had a special meeting Thursday in Chehalis to fill Jerry Lord's old spot because Jerry died in a weird accident. We don't have details. R.I.P. Jerry. It looks like he moved out of town? Sure. You know, we'll just say he died. No, there was a belt involved. We'll just leave it at that. They selected John Six for the vacancy, and he's got the term until it ends in 2027. Six grew up in Chehalis, more specifically Adna. He worked for Honeywell Aerospace, and he's now a subcontractor and project manager developing cockpit avionics and training materials. That sounds extremely complicated. He's also got his own consulting firm and works remotely from downtown Chehalis. He is a member of the Chehalis Historic Preservation Commission and also a founding member and vice president of a Lewis County nonprofit, the Washington Association of Culture and Arts. I'll be damned. Funny how that works out.
Yeah, twice in one day.
Do you guys know John?
I do. Very well. John's a good friend and a good man, and I'm excited that he's on council in Chehalis. I think he's going to serve his community well.
Yeah? You think he'll do okay?
Yeah, I think he'll do wonderfully. Yeah. He's a man of conviction, and he's a project manager, has served on the Historic Planning Commission, and he knows how to get things done timely as well. He does a good job of managing me and my tendrils. My branches I tend to go off onto. He's like, nope, we're doing this right now. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Thanks.
That makes sense. Yeah, I grew up with him a little bit. I was in Boy Scouts with him years and years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, I know.
You guys are old.
I know. Old as shit. But yeah, good dude. I'm happy for him. I think he'll be a good addition to the Chehalis City Council. Mm-hmm. Anything else you guys want to hit on before we jump to the break and get out of here?
No, I think, that's really it for me.
You want to plug it one more time?
Adam Ray, February 2nd, 8 p.m. McFiler's Chehalis Theater.
Yeah.
What's tickets are $30? Is there a higher option?
Yeah, we got 30 for general admission, and then the mezzanine is 40. You get your own bar access there and quick access to the bathrooms.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a $60 option where you get to they just get to hang out with you all night?
Yeah.
I mean, for you,
I'm selling 3 of those.
Yeah, right now.
3 tickets.
For you, 50.
Do we have any tables left? VIP tables?
Steal.
There might be a few VIP tables left, but for those, they're not listed online, so you'd have to reach
email
out.
Hub Comedy.
So you got to negotiate
Gabe
directly
Hub
with
Comedy.
Gabe.
Yeah.
All right. Where can you get tickets?
You can get them at hubcomedy.com.
Okay.
They're also on Eventbrite. If you search on there, you can get them
links
on
through our Facebook for
adamraycomedy.com.
They're out there.
They're out there, but Hub Comedy is probably the easiest. It's
gonna be a killer show.
Go and get them.
Who's you got an opener lined up?
Yeah, so Lynette Manning is gonna host. She's been doing great. She's headlining now, but she's gonna host, which is only like a 10 to 15 minute set. And then I got Sam Miller, who's been coming down here. And he's crushing it. He's a nationwide headliner. He's gonna feature, do a little bit of time, but we're gonna keep those sets pretty short and just let Adam do his thing.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck at the Adam show. I'm sure it's going to be killer. Yeah. You know what? I'm logging on right now to go get my tickets.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met JSIC of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right, we're back from the break, and I'm joined now by Chronicle sports editor Josh Kirschenbaum. You may know Josh from not covering your favorite team because he's busy covering their rivals and his regular spot on the Sports Dump podcast. Josh, how are you?
Good. This is a dream come true. I've been waiting for this all my life.
I knew it. You dropped hints a few times in the past that you were
big listener, avid fan.
And now you're a first-time caller.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about you're on your way out?
Well, I guess I am now that you've announced it.
Did you want to do the two-part Twitter thing?
I did not want to do the two-part Twitter thing, but you've given me so much shit about a two-part Twitter thing that I didn't want to do a two-part podcast thing. I was going to save it for the Sports Dump tomorrow with the people who actually listen. But no, I'm on my way out, yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
I got a job up in Seattle with the editorial team at MLB.com. So,
do you get a Hall of Fame vote?
I do not get a Hall of Fame vote yet.
But someday.
Someday.
Perhaps.
I'm also not replacing Jerry DiPoto. But if you have any tips or suggestions for the Mariners, you can tell me anyways, and he won't see them.
I was at an APSE conference years ago, and DiPoto was the speaker, and I asked him a question. I was like, when you're doing the draft, like, how long before you just have no idea who any of the players are? And he kind of talked around it, but I could tell there was a point. Third or fourth round, probably. So, yeah, with that, we'll jump into news.
This looks like sports.
Almost, but not quite. Our big news item for this section anyway. Commissioners approve YMCA rezone after a court ruling. After an embarrassing and easily avoidable defeat in court, the county commissioners formally approved a master planned resort overlay for land owned by the YMCA in Mineral last week. We have been covering this heavily on the podcast because it is both interesting and hilarious. But Commissioner Sean Swope handled the situation with grace, apologizing to everyone whose time and money he wasted and promising to do better for the voters who elected him. He took full responsibility for his actions, commended county staff for their diligent work, and resolved to heed the advice of advisory groups going forward. Just kidding.
Oh, I thought that was going to be a hot button or something.
No. Swope, who was legally required to do so, voted yes on the approval and made sure to do it under protest.
Why do you need to...
What?
Why was there a vote if he was legally obligated to...
It's like a formality.
Sorry, people. Schwartz isn't here to, guide this thing.
Yeah, we don't have any of our regular newsroom experts. We've got...
Local man and sports guy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's basically him being like, look, I know you all think I've learned my lesson here, but I want to assure you I have not. He handled this all with the maturity of a 5-year-old who dropped his ice cream cone in the dirt, crying, refusing to take responsibility, as everyone around him rolled their eyes and kind of wished he'd just grow up. He did add that the, quote, action should not be misconstrued as an admission of guilt regarding this specific matter. Guilt was not up for debate. It was done in an open public hearing, and the judge quoted his own words right there in the decision. It's kind of like shitting your pants and someone says, hey, man, did you shit your pants? And everyone can see it, and you deny it and say you're leaving and you'll be back later with clean pants, but that action should not be misconstrued as an admission of guilt. Anyway, in closing on this chapter of the YMCA saga, I would recommend that if Commissioner Swope is disheartened by this development, I would tell him there's a place he can go. When you're short on your dough, which the county certainly is, you can stay there, and I'm sure you will find many ways to have a good time.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything.
Everything. Yeah, they really do.
All the boys.
All the boys. You can
I
hang
hope
out with
everyone
them.
was dancing like I was.
What a moment in podcast history. Finally getting the YMCA sound drop in there.
Yeah.
Josh,
that explains why you showed up to this dressed as like a policeman.
yeah, I mean, well, everybody knows I'm a staunch supporter of law enforcement. Josh, how do you feel about the Young Men's Christian Association?
I mean, this is sports to me because I only knew it from like the basketball leagues they were on and the swimming but yeah, apparently. The main takeaway from this is it's way more fun when you write the notes.
Yeah. I've gotten lazy on Sports Dump. I just show up. I'm just like a hired gun.
No, and I just make the notes, which is just, this is the score. Here's the stat. Aaron, read off. And maybe every once in a while you let us have a conversation.
Yeah, I'll tip my head back and be like, well, back in 95.
Good for the YMCA.
Yeah, I'm more a fan of associating with old godless women myself. Is there a club for that you're aware of?
Like the Satanic Cult or Church of Satan. They seem cooler than a lot of the people in politics here.
They're not quite the social thing I'm looking for. But anyway, with that, we'll go straight into an ad read for the roof doctor. How's your roof looking?
Pretty leaky, probably.
You know, you're going to be up in Seattle covering baseball, and they have an interesting roof situation up there.
They do. It can move in and out. Do you
think the roof doctor could fix a roof like that?
Maybe.
I'm almost certain they could.
Yeah.
If your roof is under the weather or hiding you from the weather, give the roof doctor a call, 360-516-4571, or locally, 360-736-0246. The Roof Doctor awaits your house call. They always provide free estimates, and they've been a family-owned company in Lewis County since 1959, doing great work.
If you're under the weather or sheltered from the weather, is that like the Americool? If your roof works too well or not well enough?
Yeah, maybe your roof, like you want it to let a little bit of rain in. You're like, hey guys, can you come just like?
It's like the rare times you're sick and your temperature is too low. Do you think you can go call the roof doctor and ask him just put a hole or two in it?
I'm sure they would.
Okay,
probably have to sign a waiver, but you know. And then our last news item: a task force has been proposed in the Washington legislature to study the impacts of artificial intelligence. AI legislation has been introduced in 25 states. Task forces or commissions have been launched by officials in Colorado, Illinois, Vermont, and Virginia. This is good news for any creatively inclined artist types and bad news for the Chronicle's opinion page. What? And with that, we're going to move straight into segments. And first up is Tales from the Takes page. And our first opinion piece, artificial intelligence, good and here to stay. What?
Written by Mr. Chat. First name Chat, last name Gap. Yeah,
the column goes on to read, technology has never once performed poor side effects, and the innovative software forthwith described shall be undifferentiated. Please give thanks and good tidings to our new robo-lords. That's weird.
All hail the Omnisaya.
Wow, interesting stuff. It's a real shame we don't have our editor-in-chief here to rein some of this in.
Yeah.
Moving on in the opinion stage.
Can't wait for the sports article. First team beats second team by score to score.
It's just might be closer than you think.
Yeah.
Brad Mitke wrote a serious column, remembering tennis coach Jack State, a true ace. Over 5 decades as the head coach in Chehalis, State introduced the game of tennis to thousands of students, helping them grow in the sport and in life. Mitke writes, I was one of those students and probably one of the least talented he ever coached. Still, I loved the game. He saw that and honored it. Despite my truly remarkable lack of skill, in 4 years, I never managed to reach varsity level, despite playing all summer for years with my buddy Dave and taking lessons. State was always kind and thoughtful in his feedback to me. The school board is also considering naming the tennis courts after Jack, which I think they should. And you worked with him a little bit.
Always called his scores in.
He was,
I always knew the Jack State call was going to come, and he was going to very deliberately make sure we got everybody's name right, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, he was reliable. He was great. He will be missed in Chehalis.
Definitely.
Also, there's a column up on the opinion page right now from County Commissioner Sean Swope, who wrote, encouraging people to vote for the Centralia School District levy. And I agree, because education is important and funding it builds better communities.
Do you want to say that full sentence out loud? I agree with.
I do agree with Sean Swope on this matter. This is not.
I cut that bit already.
This is not an admission of guilt.
Pass your levy, people. Like, on my way out. Come on.
Yeah, give Josh some good news to go out on.
Pass your levy, man.
I did Siren's Banger of the Week. Schwartz usually fills in a lot of these or has his own
I'm
ideas.
sorry for not being as good a co-host as he is.
Do you want to do like a Sports Banger of the Week? Oh, we'll do that Thursday.
Yeah, I don't think anybody... There were a couple missed calls, but nobody got there weren't like bad fouls or be like good like technical fouls. Just some missed calls. But
yeah. The one I liked, the Chehalis police log had 3 drug violation calls for the same block in 1 hour, and then 2 more 40 minutes apart a day later. Sounded like one of them was a marijuana violation. At what point do you quit calling it in and just go burn one of these hash heads?
Did they leave because they couldn't find somebody? I can't tell if like the scout for these people is really good at their job or really bad at their job. Is it the cop showed up and they couldn't find anything? So obviously the guy who's like, the cops are coming, get out of the way, hide the drugs, is like really good at this? Or is it that they kept noticing something and got stopped and they got the drugs taken away, and it just turns out that like the person who was stashing was better?
I think the person stashing is just better. Like, I imagine a situation where like it's just like you hide.
You found all my drugs in the kitchen, but save the stuff in the bedroom. So
I do appreciate the persistence of somebody, whoever. I assume it's the same person calling it in 5 times in a span of a day. Good for them. They really don't want those kids out there.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
Just someone in Chehalis needs a better like lookout for their operation, for their drug doing.
We've got People's Champion of the Week, Chehalis Outfitters. They donated $3,000 to the Lewis County Food Bank Coalition. This is the 3rd year in a row. They presented a $3,000 check to the food bank. This was a partnership between Georgia Boot and Chehalis Outfitters, which is one of the proud sponsors of this very
you're
podcast.
You're not even going to let me bring in my other candidates for this.
We'll get to them in just a second. Chehalis Outfitters provides quality clothing, footwear, hardware, housewares, toys, as well as camping, hunting, fishing, canning, and lawn and garden supplies at 1757 North National Avenue in Chehalis, and they've been there forever. Forever. What are your? You got some nominees?
My nominees?
Yeah. Do you have anything? You just implied that you had some nominees.
I mean, we could throw James Gross in there proactively. Like,
all right. What did he hit?
2,000 yet? Nobody's going to.
All right. Well,
probably going to happen by the next
pending
podcast.
People's Champion James Gross for hitting 2,000 points and being the first kid to do it in
20 years, something like that.
20 years, it sounds like.
That's pretty cool, if I do say so.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a lot of points. Also, the Lewis County Coffee Company was crowned Business of the Year at the Centralia Chehalis Chamber of Commerce annual banquet, which was that Friday? Cody was shooting it.
Yeah, Thursday, something like that. But they didn't learn the real rule, which is if you want to be People's Champion, sponsor it. Just a little bit, you know.
I think Lewis County Coffee Company was a sponsor of something at one point. I think they sponsored one of the podcasts.
Okay. But yeah, just a little money in the right place to Aaron.
You get yourself that People's Champion of the Week.
Or Sirens Banger if you choose that.
Yeah, we could make an exception to make you a Sirens Banger.
Could you get like a drug dealer like get the Sirens Banger because they got caught and also they slipped you a little bit of money to get on the podcast?
Yeah, I have the appropriate lack of scruples to make that happen.
I think so.
Maybe he's just trying to drum up some business, be like, get his name out there.
I long for the day where People's Champion is the Sirens Banger. I feel like it would take the right circumstances, but that could happen.
I feel like we've been close a time or two. I can't remember what it was, but like there was some really good crime.
Yeah.
Facebook comments of the week. On the latest Centralia Station /Winco development, this commenter doesn't use a lot of punctuation, shortens a lot of his words. He writes, over this Winco crap, driving down there during construction was a nightmare, and even though they opened the road, it's still stupid.
Stupid.
And then somebody asked him about his grammar and spelling, and he reacted as you would expect.
Oh, and that's not in Facebook comments of the week?
No, I didn't want to get that far into it. On a story about a woman suing a pet shop for selling her a faulty $6,800 puppy that died when a kid fell on it, this commenter says, as soon as someone agrees to a 29% interest rate on a $6,800 loan for a pet, they should be denied the puppy, the loan, and possibly have their children taken away because they are clearly unable to make sound decisions.
Would you be down to spend this much money?
No. Especially not at that interest rate. Come on.
Where did the interest rate come in?
I don't know. I
feel like if you're spending $6,800 for a puppy, you do not need a loan to get $6,800 for a puppy.
Be incorrect. Do you think they have like a sales manager at the pet store, like at car dealerships?
Look, ma'am. I know you're thinking of this one, but just trust me on this one. This one's for you.
We got to smoke a deal on these Chihuahua mixes. And then there was another commenter that just got really like conspiratorial with it. Lung failure, more research, keywords, healthy, puppy. Maybe there's something else could possibly have been going on. Need more information. And then in a later response, probably is not facts. I still need more information. Full report and second opinions. Still sad either way. How do we know what really happened?
I love how some of these people, this person's attempted ellipses are 2 periods. Some are 3 and some are 4. I think one's 5. And they managed to go that whole time without asking if they were vaccinated.
Yeah, interesting. I just like the amount of information they think somebody is withholding. Like somebody's doing a deep investigative dive into a puppy that got a kid dropped onto it and died, and the outstanding loan that remains.
The puppy had the kid drop down on it. It was just a kid like on a swing, like a crane. It was closer. Come on, you bugger! One more step, release, go.
I'm gonna get it. Yeah,
like the claw machine.
And then there was a story on the city of Centralia deciding which ball fields to turf over at Borst. Somebody comments there has been problems with artificial turf being toxic. This commenter says, don't eat the turf. Easy solution.
That's not how it works.
How does it work? Is the turf toxic?
There have been studies. This is 100% actually like true and not, sarcastic. There were studies, mostly soccer players because they dive a lot more, where there was either a specific brand of field turf or just field turf in general, where there was a string of like cancer-related problems from kids diving on turf. It's the rubber pellets, I think. It's not the plastic bits. There have been things about this. It's very minuscule, and it's more like it's not like all turf. It's like if your specific field is faulty, then yes, it can have some byproducts that are actually harmful.
Interesting.
But yeah, also don't eat the turf.
Well, yeah. I initially wrote that off as like, another one of these people. And then I Googled it and I was like, I'll be damned. There's some of this going around. Yeah. But also, like, you're playing softball over there. You probably presumably you got clothes on. You're just like rolling around in it.
Yeah. You dive on it. You're not diving that often.
Yeah, hopefully not.
I don't know if they're trying to turf the entire thing or the outfield too, but this is a sports podcast.
Yeah, it is. We're bringing it back around. What's in the next edition? This is dropping Wednesday night, and Schwartz is not here, so the world may never know.
I can tell you what's in sports.
For Thursday?
Basketball.
A lot of basketball.
And some reclassification news, actually.
Oh, did you get something on that?
Yeah, which just went up now.
I was speaking of comment sections. Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Did
you get anything good about Tumwater on there?
Oh, I saw some interesting Tumwater things. The insinuations that schools are like hiding players in alternative schools and all this, like, why? Why would they? Do you really think an administrator, a district administrator, a position that pays, in some cases, upwards of $200,000 a year, is going to risk it all to sneak in some kids to maybe win one more football game a year? It just doesn't seem worth it.
Just try being better.
Practice.
That's when you're complaining about how much better your rivals are, and the other schools in your league. Just consider winning more.
Yeah,
that's the take that's going to get me kicked out of here. Okay.
Any other final words before we're wrapping it up? We'd burn through these bad boys.
Yeah, I only got half a podcast, so I got to come on again. I guess as another guest and get my dream completely fulfilled instead of half fulfilled.
We'll try to get you on when Schwartz is here, so you can get the full experience.
Oh yeah. Also, there's sports stuff at some point in the next couple of days. You'll get your usual dose of me there.
Yeah, enjoy Sports Dump coming late Thursday night, probably. In closing, we're sponsored by Chehalis Outfitters, Summit Funding, and The Roof Doctor. You can email us at Chronicle News Dump at gmail.com. We had a message from Beth Vanderstoop. Thank you for those tire pile pictures. Gratefully received.
I'm just telling you that what Aaron really wants is he wants you to email suggestions for what the hot button should do.
And maybe we should just make the YMCA drop permanent.
I think that's a good one.
What a banger. Anyway,
send us off with that.
Leave a review and on Apple Podcasts if you want. We'd like to see those too. I won't be sarcastic about it. And with that,
It's fun to stay